The doctor finally emerged from the examination room, and Olga's heart raced as she stood up to meet him. His expression was grave, and her stomach twisted with apprehension. "Miss Olga?" the doctor said, his voice gentle but serious. Olga nodded, her throat suddenly dry. "Yes, doctor. What did the tests show? Is everything okay?" "I have the results of your tests," the doctor said, her tone serious. "There's nothing wrong with your body or your health. Congratulations, Miss Thompson. You're pregnant." Olga's stomach dropped as fear gripped her heart. "What do you mean? Are you sure you're not mistaken? I mean, I did it once. How can it be true?" The doctor hesitated for a moment before responding. "There are no mistakes. You're 7 weeks pregnant." The sudden news was like a bomb in her head. This is what she was afraid of when she said she wouldn't make love to anyone before marriage. She felt overwhelmed. "I just started my career. I don't even know if James will take it. He is going through a lot with his business." Olga's mind raced as she tried to process the news. The timing couldn't have been worse, considering James's struggles with his company and the uncertainty of their relationship. She felt torn between the joy of impending motherhood and the fear of how James would react. Taking a deep breath, Olga thanked the doctor and left the hospital in a daze. She knew she needed to talk to James, but she wasn't sure how to approach the subject, especially given his current stressors. As she drove home, her thoughts were consumed with questions and concerns. How would James react to the news? Would he be happy? Or would he see it as another complication in their already complicated lives? And what about Jocelyn? How would she fit into the picture now? When Olga arrived home, she found herself pacing the living room, unable to sit still. She needed to talk to Maggie first. She remembered what Maggie told her. "She warned me not to have unprotected sex. What mess did I get myself into? May I call her, or maybe I should wait for her to come back?" Olga hesitated for a moment, debating whether to call Maggie or wait for her to come back. She glanced at her phone, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Finally, she decided that she couldn't wait any longer to confide in her friend. With trembling fingers, Olga dialed Maggie's number and waited anxiously as the phone rang. After a few moments, Maggie answered, her voice warm and concerned. "Olga? Is everything okay?" Maggie asked, immediately picking up on the tension in Olga's voice. Olga took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "Maggie, I need to talk to you. Can you come over? It's really important." "Of course, I'll be there right away," Maggie replied without hesitation. "Just hang tight, okay? I'll be there as soon as I can." Olga thanked Maggie and ended the call, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. She knew that talking to Maggie would help ease some of her anxiety and confusion. While she waited for her friend to arrive, Olga paced back and forth, her mind swirling with thoughts of James, the baby, and their uncertain future. When Maggie finally arrived, Olga greeted her at the door with a tight hug, feeling grateful for her friend's support. Without wasting any time, she led Maggie to the living room. Maggie, realizing the unease on her friend's face, asked, "Olga, what did the doctor tell you?" Olga poured out the whole story, from her unexpected pregnancy to her worries about James and their relationship. "Maggie, I'm pregnant," Olga blurted out, the words feeling foreign on her tongue. There was a moment of stunned silence on the other end of the line before Maggie spoke again. "Oh, Olga, what? That's unexpected. How did it happen? Why didn't you use protection? Have you told James yet?" "No, I haven't. I just don't know how or the right time, now that we barely see each other." Maggie listened attentively, her expression sympathetic and understanding. When Olga had finished speaking, Maggie reached out and took her hand, offering a reassuring squeeze. "I know this must be overwhelming, but remember, you're not alone in this," Maggie said softly. "We'll figure it out together, okay? And whatever happens, I'll be here for you every step of the way." Tears welled up in Olga's eyes as she nodded gratefully, feeling a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. With Maggie by her side, She knew that she would find the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "I am going to wait until our anniversary. It will be a surprise," she said, her mind racing with thoughts and emotions. How was she going to tell James? Would he be happy about the news? Or would it only add to his stress? What about their relationship and the looming threat to James's company? Everything felt so uncertain. What the two didn't know is that James has a fiancée named Jocelyn, and she was coming back. A surge of conflicting emotions washed over her once again. Joy is excited at the prospect of starting a family with James, fear at the uncertainty of their future, and above all, a fierce determination to protect her child, no matter what. "Thank you, Maggie. I know I have you by my side. Whether James accepts the responsibilities or not, I will have this baby," Olga said, her voice trembling slightly. I need some time to think about how to break this news to James." She didn't even know how his family would take it. Olga took a deep breath and closed her eyes, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions raging inside her. She knew she had a difficult road ahead of her, but she also knew that she was strong enough to face whatever challenges came her way, for the sake of her child and the man she loved. At the city airport, a beautiful figure approached with excitement. Jocelyn had hoped that her fiancé, James, would come to welcome her at the airport, but was disappointed to find Nick, his secretary, awaiting her with a bouquet. Looking around, her eyes searching for James, she asked, "Nick, where's James?" Nick didn't like this woman and her arrogance, but he had to pay respect to her for being the soon-to-be madam of the Hawkins. "Ma'am, Mr. Hawkins is very busy. He couldn't come here personally. He's attending a very important meeting. That's why he sent me here." He paused for a moment, then gestured for her to enter the car. Jocelyn entered the car with anger and frustration, lost in her thoughts. Is it work? Or is he busy fooling around with that cheap girl? He better not, because he doesn't know what I am capable of. As Nick drove towards the Cowles family villa, Jocelyn couldn't help but shout at him, "Are you crazy, Nick? Take me to my fiancé's villa now." But James said that. Before he could finish the sentence, Jocelyn cut him off. "I don't care what he said. Just do what I say, or you'll face the consequences." Nick had no choice but to do what she was saying. He drove to James's villa. Upon reaching the house, he couldn't stand being with this woman for another second. So he drove off. Right away, he took out his phone to send James a message. "She refused to listen to me. Now at your villa." James seethed with rage in his office as he read the message from Nick. Damn this woman. Just as he was still thinking about what to do with Jocelyn's return, sitting in his office, he heard a knock on the door. "Yes, please, come in." It was his father, Chairman Corner Hawkins. James stood up to greet him with a hug. "Hey, Dad. How are you? You know you're old. You should have called me over. So what brings you here at this hour?" The father looked at his beloved son, sadness evident all over him. "I am fine, my dear. And you know why I am here? You're losing weight day by day. But until now, I don't understand what happened to the project. The plan was so good. I need a clear explanation." James helped his father onto the couch and sat beside him. "Dad, everything was going well until someone, whom I am not able to identify until now, started exposing the project's secrets. The day I went to present the final version, our project was already compromised. I was humiliated in front of the board, shareholders, and even the new investors. They started withdrawing their investments. Everything went away in a blink of an eye. Dad, I am so sorry I failed you and your people." Chairman Corner Hawkins listened intently, his expression grave. "James, failure is part of the journey. What matters is how you rise from it. We will rebuild, stronger than before. But right now, we need to focus on addressing this betrayal. Have you identified any suspects?" James shook his head. Not yet, Dad. But I won't rest until I do. This isn't just about the project anymore. It's about restoring our family's honor. Coroner Hawkins nodded solemnly. I trust you, son. You remember what I told you when you first presented this project? I still feel the same. It didn't fail because you weren't capable, but because there was no unity. Let me tell you, we'll get through this together. But remember, sometimes the greatest strength comes from seeking help. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need assistance. With renewed determination, James clenched his fists. Thank you, Dad. I won't let you down. And remember the promise you made to me. His father added, if things refuse to work your way, then you'll consider marrying Jocelyn so that her family can join hands with us. Remember, thousands of people depend on this company to survive, including our family and our legacy. So don't make any decisions based solely on your personal feelings and interests. Please talk to Jocelyn and plan the wedding as soon as possible before things spiral out of control. James was pleased that he still had his father's trust and support. Yes, Dad. Thanks for the advice. I know this marriage with Jocelyn will help me regain our lost reputation and rebuild the project from scratch. Chairman Hawkins listened intently, his expression softening as he heard James's words. Son, I told you, don't be afraid. Failure is a part of life, but it's how we rise from it that defines us. Jocelyn might be the key to turning things around, but remember, trust is a fragile thing. Be cautious. James nodded, grateful for his father's wisdom. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right, Dad. The old man stood up to leave. All right, James, I am not getting any younger, as you said. I need to go and rest at home. Keep doing what you were doing. I will see myself out. With renewed determination, James began to formulate a plan of how to break the news to his one and only love, Olga, telling her that there had been another woman in his life all along, and that he wouldn't marry her. He resolved to marry that woman instead because of the company. How will she take this news? I need to accept reality and let Olga go. I need Jocelyn to help me get over this messed up project and talk to her about the wedding and how to join forces with her again, hoping to redeem myself and restore our family's legacy. James sat in his office, contemplating his father's words and the weight of the decisions ahead. He knew he had to tread carefully, both in rebuilding the project and in his personal life. His mind drifted to Olga, the woman he truly loved, and the thought of breaking her heart tore at him. Meanwhile, Jocelyn stormed into James's villa, her frustration boiling over. She was determined to confront him about his absence at the airport and to get to the bottom of his mysterious behavior. As she entered the grand foyer, she called out his name, her voice echoing through the empty halls. To her surprise, a maid came to welcome her. You welcome, ma'am. Mr. Hawkins is not home yet. Jocelyn couldn't hide her frustration. Take my bags in the room and make me something to eat. She sat in the living room waiting for James to come back. In the night, James emerged from the door only to find Jocelyn waiting for him, his expression a mix of surprise and apprehension. Jocelyn, you're here, he said, trying to mask his discomfort. Yes, James, I'm here, she replied sharply. Where were you? I expected you to be at the airport to welcome me, not your secretary. James sighed, knowing he had to choose his words carefully. I'm sorry, Jocelyn. Something urgent came up at work, and I couldn't make it. I had Nick go in my place. Jocelyn narrowed her eyes, sensing there was more to the story. And what about this important meeting you were attending? Is that the truth, James? James hesitated, his mind racing. He knew he couldn't reveal the full extent of the situation to Jocelyn. Not yet, at least. Yes, Jocelyn, it was a last-minute meeting that I couldn't miss. I apologize for any inconvenience it caused you. Her frustration bubbling over, Jocelyn took a step closer to James, her voice low and intense. James, I need to know what's going on. I can't marry a man who keeps secrets from me. If there's something you're not telling me, you need to be honest. James met her gaze, feeling the weight of her words. He knew he couldn't keep Jocelyn in the dark forever, but he also couldn't risk revealing too much too soon. I promise, Jocelyn, I will tell you everything in due time. But right now, we have more pressing matters to attend to. Jocelyn bristled at his evasiveness, but begrudgingly nodded. Fine, James. But don't think you can keep me in the dark forever. I expect honesty and transparency in our relationship. James said to himself, tomorrow is our first anniversary with Orga. That's when I will tell her. I don't know if this is the best decision, but what I know is that it's the only solution I could come up with.